I'm greatly honored to be here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have many of my friends and colleagues here, the speaker, I think, unless the mic is a problem. I have a lot of my political compatriots around. I will leave the protocol on to later, but we have members of the National Assembly, distinguished senators. We have the Speaker of Lagos State. We have my colleague, compatriot, Yomi Edu is here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be with you in the House of Commons, for this is the House of Democracy. It can be said that modern representative democracy was born inside these walls. 3 1/4 centuries ago, England underwent the Glorious Revolution. The Glorious Revolution was a complex happening, with religious consideration playing a large role as political factors. The Glorious Revolution permanently shifted the balance of power from the monarch to the elected representative of the people. In this land, the primacy of monarchy was altered. Over the years, the power of parliament will progressively grow while that of the monarchy will recede. As long as the breath of freedom does not expire from this earth, this house shall be revered as a symbol of progress and the battle of the rule of law and individual liberty against the menace of unchecked and arbitrary power. Today, democracy is the standard. Democracy is the best form of governance because it counters that most dangerous human frailty, the temptation of leaders to accumulate power for the sake of accumulating more power. However, everyone claims to be democratic, but everyone is faithful to his or her will. Herein lies the rub. The liberal democracy have become adept in exploiting the physical, procedural, and institutional trappings of democracy without adopting democratic spirit that gives the procedure and the institution their role and their noble meaning. We have government that are democracy on paper, but not in function. They are democracy in form, but not in substance. We have government that only know democracy primarily through breaching it. Primarily through breaching it. In short, many nations suffered authoritarian government in democratic clothing. Today, I will examine our topic, national development and the people through the prism of democratic culture and the right of citizens to elect and vote House leaders at periodic intervals. What kind of legitimacy do the leaders command? What changes are required to bring about free and fair elections and rule of law? What is the quality of leadership now in power in many places in Africa? What developmental philosophy is best suited to support national development in my country? Under democracy, the concern about quality of leadership take on an added dimension. Democracy can only be sustained and improved when electoral process is such that the people are able to choose leaders who will further nurture democratic system. In the absence of this reinforcing positive dynamics, democracy will weaken and sooner or later implode if left too long unattended. If democracy is to be sustained, it must also elevate the performance level of government and the corresponding rights and privileges enjoyed by the citizens. The success or performance of any leadership is often measured by the extent national cohesion is achieved and the level of national development experienced. In the case of Nigeria, and please, if I tiptoe this long speech, you have the long one page. I'm trying to manage time. In the case of Nigeria, the fundamental question to us, as one of our most prominent journalists said in recent piece, is to what extent has public policy improved the human condition? Indeed, according to the late British economist, Dudley Sears, the question to be asked about a country's development are the following. What has become of poverty? What has happened to the unemployment? What is the state of socio-economic inequality? Of all the three, if all the three have declined from high levels, then development at a core. But if one or two of these central problems have grown worse, especially if all three, it would be wrong to call the result development, even if GDP has improved. That is according to WCS, renowned economists from this. Sadly, these problems have grown worse in our land. The concept of national development has been perverted. In Nigeria and most parts of Africa, the three key drivers of development are retrogressing because of the missing link: visionary, disciplined, and courageous leadership. The gap between the poor and the rich widens daily. There is grinding poverty, and people have to work twice harder each day to make ends meet. There is massive unemployment. Of what use is any leadership that does little to solve these problems? Leadership and national development are twin engines. You need good leadership to conceive dynamic policies that will drive development at all levels. It is not rocket science, yet we pretend that our path to national development will be different from that of other countries who paid the price and invested in people for good leadership, dynamic and result-oriented policies. Here I advocate a new thinking, a new direction for the country. Nigeria needs its equivalent of the glorious revolution that started and emerged from here. I use this term knowing critics will complain I advocate to overthrow the government. No, I do no such thing. I do not support the Jonathan government, but I oppose anyone seeking its premature, illegal end. Let this government end at the appointed time through the ballot box. We will vote them out. Then I will say good riddance. The glorious Nigerian revolution of which I speak has nothing to do with the force of arms. The revolution which I speak has two major parts. First, it is the peaceful conversion of our partial democracy into a full-fledged one. Second, is the implementation of policies turning our political economy away from its retrogressive, elitist bearing. We seek policies pointing in a progressive direction, affording the average person a chance at a useful and happy life. This will be through the provision of gainful employment, quality education, and essential services for those who need helping hand from government to survive. And I see no shape in any progressive government. However, thank you for being progressive in your absence. It is quite apparent to me that political leadership serves no useful function if it is unable to address the vital needs of the people. There is no question that current federal government has thoroughly failed this. As our new coalition, All Progressives Congress, the APC, takes on, we are convinced and determined about the direction we want to take our country, Nigeria. As leaders of this party and government in waiting, we intend to pursue dynamic, time-tested, bold policies that will liberate our people by making sure that our wealth work for us. Let me put forth a few examples. The central focus of our effort when we assume government in coming years will be the implementation of most extensive and aggressive plan to lift as many Nigerians out of poverty as possible. Our desire to be able to move at least 20% of our people out of poverty, those who are defined as earning below $1 per day. In the next 40 years, we can't do it. We have the resources, both material and human, to do so. To do so from the premise that Washington consensus and the IMF post-Bretton Woods prescription for development have served their time and to a large extent not delivered on the promises. There is a need for what has been described as a third path. A pathway between the pure market-driven, neoliberal socio-economic policies and the various variants of the command economic models. That path is particularly important for countries such as ours, with an incredibly large and growing poor, large resources, poor infrastructure, and weak financial and social institutions, the result of which are the frightening social tension, terrorism, violence, kidnapping. For us, that pathway is clear. It means developing our own Marshall Plan, resulting in direct intervention of state, thereby halting the popularization of our people, but simultaneously ensuring the intervention itself space of job and growth for Nigerians. It also means working aggressively to improve the infrastructure. The immediate priority will be sorting out power requirement for all. One of the most important discoveries of humanity today is electricity. Unfortunately, Nigeria's efforts to provide adequate energy has been an abysmal failure. Yet no nation can develop economically and meet the needs of its people without uninterrupted power supply. How can any nation think of setting up refineries without constant power supply? Taking crude oil and exporting same cannot result in exponential growth for any country like ours. To improve power supply, we will encourage independent power plants, IPP, in designated industrial zones to reduce the horrendous power component, the cost of local manufacturing and goods. Secondly, the construction of high-speed trans-state highways, such as speed train that will connect the north, south, east, and west and move people, fuel, farm produce, and wood in a cost-effective manner across the country. We We will emphasize the promotion of growth in all sectors in the first 4 years by making, and I'm glad to the reference of the last speaker, say small business is paramount. Yes, I agree with you. Small businesses is the engine of growth of any nation and is part of the eliminator of poverty. We have this opportunity. Investment in agriculture and agro-land industry is a must for us. We firmly believe that agriculture will provide food for subsistence and export. Most importantly, it has the potential to create millions of jobs for both the literate and literate population. It is from agriculture that we can fight hunger and process raw materials for the industrial sector in food. It appears that every government in Nigeria has realized the centrality of agriculture. The problem has always been the absence of a forthright and creative plan, focus and commitment to the implementation. A state intervention for domestic and abroad is necessary. A commodity exchange board is a must for our country. We must help the poor. The monthly stipend that is necessary to even provide safety net is not in existence. Some of you here present, you are absent from home, are the source of that safety net. Whereas you should be encouraged to be stimulators of the economy of the country. To capture unemployed graduates, the Youth Corps scheme will be reviewed for pragmatic implementation for skill development and social services. The way it is going now is just a drain pipeline for waste, both of the human energy and human brain and the financial resources of the country. We can train them more to the skill, to develop skills that is unlocking. We shouldn't educate our people for skills that we don't need in our country and create economic refugees all around the world. We should be proud of what we have. We have the capital, human resources, and the environment to train those people, to train our graduates, to eliminate Nigeria from poverty. For example, the co-creation of Technology and Innovation Center in Lagos for young and dynamic IT-savvy kids has created a lot of thousands of jobs. In a few years, with adequate government support, we will create an IT center that can compete with any other part of the world. Nigeria is a very competitive. There must be matching funds for the state towards creating business incubators for skilled graduates. It is our responsibility as a government to stimulate those opportunities and build talent. An important component of state intervention to redress poverty is 1 meal a day. 1 meal a day program for primary and secondary school pupils. 1 meal a day is a propelling engine, 2 driver engine for growth. You have created demand if you offer 1 meal a day. You can imagine how many poultry will grow up across the country and how many people will be employed if you are feeding common and at least 1,700,000 people. Equally, a slice of bread a day will create bakery the advisory centers, where students are being recruited for violence reactions, will be eliminated if somebody will go to school only to eat that meal. Can you imagine how many, if you offer to give one pint of pineapple juice to a student in the class, and you will create pineapple juice industry, mango juice, same way, ditto, apple juice, ditto. We can stimulate the economy. Dairy farms. It's a shame that so many of us, we still need pasteurized milk to take our porridge, our coffee and tea. We can make it domestically a viable economy produced within our own environment. Our system of finance and economic problem was mentioned. The corruption can be tackled. We did it in Lagos State as a government. And I'm glad one of the best brains that Nigeria is here with me, who created that change in the judiciary of Lagos State. When we came in, it is almost 100% research of those interviewed classified Lagos State judiciary as the most corrupt. But through its effort in our reform program, why incentives are given, two approaches. The judges were guaranteed that their retirement plan and their guarantees of the home that is needed, and they are guaranteed that you don't have to look for money and have credit to buy your car. Just provide integrity, develop the skill, computerize the system. The judicial system was turned around within 1 year, and today we have 98% guarantee that our judiciary in Lagos State. But at the federal level, the electoral process is problematic. With recent experience, I fear the length that the federal government and the party in power will go. One of those examples, if Nigeria is to mature to democracy, we must improve our electoral system. Today, those who control the system manipulate elections with such impunity that they now see misconduct without sanction as a normal way of life. We have to eliminate this. Look at the recent controversy surrounding the election of Nigerian governors vote in chairmanship. 35 state governors assembled to vote for the chairmanship. They did this among themselves secretly. Secret ballot. One contestant earned 19 votes. The other attracted only 16 votes. In a place where honesty matters, the result will be clear and undisputed. But not in today Nigeria under the current leadership. The chap who earned fair votes was declared the winner by those who bargained. In Nigeria, the tenet of basic arithmetic has led to application concerning elections. Votes do not count. They are concocted. Elections are not necessarily won by the candidate with the highest votes. Elections are won by the candidates of the powerful and mighty. Consequently, a group comprising the nation's 36 governors could not even conduct the arithmetic of an election of 35 persons without a disputed outcome. Laughable in it. And that is why APC will continue to struggle in the main. Because that is a signal to 2015 election, general election. You know what they will do. Our system is constructed to preserve the unjust gains of electoral misconduct and present steep evidentiary and other illegal challenges to those whose mandates have been failed and rigging and the strange arithmetic of vote counting in Nigeria. We have had too many false winners who were true losers. Another very previous example of this perversion is the 180 days limit in judicial intervention in disputed elections. This failed to meet the grand norms. This fails to meet the grand norms of the rule of law. In this case, the right of citizens is abridged through the back door. And I'm glad some of our parliamentarians are here. I insist, this is an unconstitutional amendment. It is illegal for only 2/3 of the national parliamentarians to pass such an amendment, affecting the right of an individual. The constitution to which we subscribe and equally that of the developed democracies we emulate requires 4/5 of the nation's parliament to pass such an amendment affecting my right or your right. You can be a victim. Throw it out of the window. The Electoral Reform Committee, chaired by former Chief Justice Owais, was established to end our unique electoral anomaly. The panel recommended a blueprint for sanitizing our electoral system. Some of the key points include: we need a full biometric voters registration and balloting system. Let me repeat. We need a fully biometric voters registration and balloting system. The lack of a functional biometric voters register it accounts for many of the anomalies in the current process. The debate is not necessary. This system is the most effective way to eliminate corruption in the electoral process. The system was applied in Ghana. It worked. Other African countries like Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, and of recent, Kenya, use biometric register and validation system for their general elections. It worked. If Nigeria is truly the leader and the giant of Africa, let us act like it. If smaller nations can take this step to assume the continental lead in the quality and integrity of the electoral process, let us regain the leadership role by taking the necessary steps to embrace this system as well. The objective of the data capture that is being presently used, allowing duplication of voters register, is very dubious. You take our fingerprints, on the election day, you brought a manual system. It's too deceptive. And we have to discard it. Why this struggle? I am a Nigerian patriot and a Nigerian progressive. These are not facile labels to be easily used and discarded. I consider both as badges of honor. Proudly, I wear each of them. As progressives, we fight for free and fair election to accomplish a purpose much loftier than the elections themselves. We do not seek fair elections so that our members may enter office and behave the same way as the ruling party today. We seek not to remove the ruling party from the power so that we might imitate them. No. We seek their removal through the ballot box because we intend to provide a strongly more progressive, forward-looking, visionary leadership that will create take Nigeria out of the present problem. Because they are the prison guard of an unjust status quo, holding the people captive. We have nothing less in mind than to change the face of our political economy for the benefit of our people and our country, Nigeria. We can do it. It has been said that Nigerian politicians all believe in the same thing themselves. This never been true. Today is possibly even more glaring. When current administration sought to abolish the fuel subsidy under the cover of darkness, we stood stubborn, opposing it, and offer alternative approach that if it is most done, the fund must be accumulated in a special account and dedicated for a radical development to aid the poor as well as renew our infrastructure. They promised that, but that was a promise only. Today, nowhere to find the fund, nowhere to find the infrastructure, no dedicated account. It's all politics, deception.com. We've got to change that. Let them go. On national security, to so many of you investors, I must state here that we are on the same page. We believe there's no growth and no investment drive, no direct investment, no internal peace is possible without a stable policy. We believe that there must be security, effectively. But this government promised peace and security. But under a watchful eye, insecurity has grown. Boko Haram has turned large chunks of northern Nigeria into no man's land with life and property under severe threat, and economic activities have come to a standstill. Yet, this government has not seen the correlation between poverty, injustice, and the rule of law. Nigerians have become increasingly divided as a people. Because government continues to take faulty steps, they have ignored the cause and gone after the symptoms. Yet, the government has the responsibility to end foreign and homegrown terrorism. On this, we are ready to partner with the government to end this scourge. We know this problem is a problem for all of us, and we must eliminate terrorism from all our borders and from our areas. We support the emergency declaration of the government and ask all our members in the House to vote in support of the State of Armed Agency to eliminate terrorism. But on one ground, that you cannot use terror excuse to dispossess and dismantle the democratic rights of the people. All the democratic structure must be intact, and the treasuries are funds meant for the people of those states must be left intact, and the Federal National Security Fund must be utilized to maintain peace and stability in the area. We have faith in one united country, and we believe it's only in a stable and peaceful environment that businesses and prosperity can become part of our people. But if the economy is meant for the few elites, then we have a problem. If economy, if the people in government are corrupt, they stimulate corruption. If the people at the top look the other way and give excuses each time they fail, not accepting responsibility, where will this buck stop? who will take responsibility. There's no need then to continue with those kind of leadership. And we ask the government, invest in the people. And I've said this, our people live in their states. But this government would rather waste the money than spend it on the public benefit. We've made several recommendations. They do not believe the people are worth it. The money is more important. They claim to be hoarding it for that military rainy day. We have the high oil prices and great revenue accruing to Nigeria. Where is the money? They create false accounts, sovereign wealth, excess crude. If that is not troubling enough, I don't know what new calamity will make this government ever recognize the need to build the new bridges needed for the people to cross over into prosperity. I've said it before and I shall say it again. These leaders would rather save the money and spend the people. We, the progressive, would rather spend the money to save the people. Here is another fact. No populous nation ever attained prosperity solely by extracting its raw material to exchange them for finished goods of other large nations. We must industrialize and diversify our economy so that it provides more employment and other great opportunity for our people. This is not the theory. It is the pragmatic way to recover from the present depression. Unless we do this, the retrogressive elite will continue to sing about how well Nigeria is doing, while the rest of the nation becomes engulfed in the tide waters of consuming poverty. It is for this reason, to save the nation from the stronghold of permanent poverty and poor governance, that the members of the progressive opposition political parties have decided to put aside our personal ambitions, and I pledge this, including my own personal ambition, and they set aside to form a new party, or the Progressive Congress, APC. We do this because Nigeria has entered a critical state of economic depression. The boat of our country is drifting. We have large opportunities. We are blessed with great land, great people, hardworking people, resourceful people. They live among some of you here, and you've seen a sample of all our states. 8 states of progressive governance. From 1999 to date, when we took over in 1999, no small business we talked to or touch Lagos. Today, you have one of the most dynamic and rapid developing states. We wish we were a nation with its own sovereignty and currency. We would have seen a different government across the We believe we have to partner with the private sector, and we must do that to create that opportunity for recovery and rapid economic growth. My conclusion, because of the unfair nature of our electoral process and of gross imbalance in our political economy, the people have been trapped in a drama for which they should have been the main characters. We must change this. We must move Nigeria from the place where the whims and narrow wishes of self-centered reactionary elites dictate the fate of over 150 million people. let Nigeria enter the place where the people take center stage and their elected leader cease misbehaving like a modern day aristocrat and get on with the task of national development in earnest. First, we need to sanitize the electoral system. Material reform is needed. Unless reforms comes, the next election will be abysmal and the people's will shall not prevail. And that will be dangerous. Let the next election be fair and open contest between the ruling party and our progressive vision for change. On our side, we will take our chances in a free and fair election. Because personally, I believe for you to deserve the joy of victory in the electoral process, you must respect the effort at free and fair election. We shall offer our people an innovative program consisting of a national industrial policy that includes radical infrastructural development and employment targets. We've done it before. You will see many of our states. Take an example from Lagos. Go to Ogun State today. Go to Oyo State today. Go to Osun State, you will see. Go to Edo State, you will see. We are proud of what we have achieved. We promise you the revival of agriculture through commodity exchange boards, education reform and the modernization of essential social services, including primary health care, especially for the women and the children, to reduce maternal and infant mortality. Lagos is almost eliminating all of these problems, and other states are following. These are other people-oriented programs we pledge. We look forward to a public comparison of our plan to those of the past 14 years under the current government. This is what democracy is about. Let the people inspect each party's work, then vote for the package that suits them in an honest and transparent manner. A truly free and fair election is what the progressive ask for. One man, one vote. If we get it, we shall win. Because we seek to provide a new leadership that will lead Nigeria to a better place and a future. A country where no responsible mother is forced to send her children to bed without food. Where no son watches his mother pass away because he can't afford basic medical care. And where every child can taste a quality of education that allows them to dream of being doctors, scientists, farmers, business people, nation builders, and even dream of being the president of our land. If I have to eat for that child, I will. In Nigeria, where every brain drain is converted to brain gain. That is the challenge of many of you here in diaspora. Converting our brain drain to brain gain. You are very valuable asset to us for the country. Our tomorrow is better if only we work together singularly with a very committed objective and vision. Thank you. Nigeria shall
Thank you very much, sir, for